It's not very often that we analyze our losses because we just want to forget about those stupid, idiotic blunders that we made in a game, and we move on to the next game, and then we make another blunder, and so on and so forth. But for the most part, we just ignore our losses and move on. And this is just a ridiculous example of a Blitz game that I played, well, today actually on the internet. I was black, and we had 2 minutes with 1 second on each move. So let's take a look. My opponent played e4, d5, e takes e5, queen takes d5, knight c3. This is the Scandinavian defense. Obviously after knight c3, black can play queen d6, queen e5 check, or queen d8, or the most common perhaps move, queen a5. Usually black responds with d4, knight to f6, knight f3, and c6. c6 has two purposes. One is to, well, prepare way for the queen to retreat to d8 or c7, and the other is to stop d5 at some point, because d5 is usually a move that white will play at one point. Knight to e5 is not so often played as, let's say, bishop c4 or bishop d2. But I think knight to e5 is okay. The idea is to play to knight c4 and drive the queen away to c7 or d8. After knight d7, the knight did go to c4. I played queen to c7. This is all book so far. And after bishop d3, I played g6 because I have to get this bishop out. So he cancelled. I played bishop g7, and here my opponent played bishop g5. I think that book move would have been a4 here actually, but he played bishop g5, and instead of castling immediately, I played h6 because I think h6 is okay. I mean, it's not like I'm in a rush to castle, and also if let's say if I would castle here, my opponent could play, I don't know, queen d2 or queen c1 and trade off that bishop on g7. So I played h6. He didn't take. He went to h4. I played castles, and here I played rook e1. Obviously, this pawn was after our castle was a little bit vulnerable. No, so if we go back a little bit, after castles, bishop g7. If rook e1, for example, over here, then I would probably be forced to play e6. But my opponent didn't do that, so he played bishop g5, h6, bishop h4, castles, rook e1, rook e8, bishop g3, and queen d8. This c4 knight is a little bit annoying because if I would ever play e6 or something, he could either go to e5 or perhaps even play queen d6 immediately. So I waited with that move. So he played queen f3, I played queen knight b6, just trying to get rid of this knight. h6, I play knight takes e4, bishop takes e4, bishop f5, rook d1, bishop takes c2, so he lost a pawn, and here he went rook d2, I played bishop f5, and here d5. It looks dangerous for black, but really there's nothing there, because obviously he can't take this pawn, or at least that's my idea. So I play rook c8, sort of limiting his ways to take back in case I would play c takes d5, because if he takes with the queen, he would just lose his queen. If he takes with the rook, he would immediately lose his rook, and if he take with the knight, well, then his bishop could potentially hang on c4 here, but of course if the knight takes, he would take back with check, and I will lose my queen here. But you know, rook c8 is okay. But instead of that, he played d takes c6, losing the rook on d2, so I took the rook. Here he played c takes b7, I took the other rook with check, and now we went to h2. Well, this looks a little bit annoying over here, I mean, this pawn, but really there's nothing there. I could have played rook b8, but instead of that I played e5. Not so much a blunder, because obviously I'm already up a pawn, rook here, so it's not so bad. But of course he took my rook, I took back, bishop e3, e4, queen f4, knight to h5, forking the queen and the bishop. So he went to d6, I took the bishop, pawn takes, e3, g4, bishop e1. Honestly, black is completely winning this game. I mean, there's no question about it. And here he made a huge blunder with queen takes g6. I mean, anybody can see that I can just win the queen with, you know, bishop takes g6. And instead of just winning the game immediately, I played rook f8, just completely missing the most obvious. And why rook f8? Well, obviously I have to protect my pawn some way, and I don't think I'd hardly even made the move rook f8 when I saw that I could have won the queen. And now notice that after rook f8, not only did I miss the move bishop takes g6, but I'm also losing my bishop on b1, because he can just take it with the knight, probably with the knight. So he's sort of maintaining this pin on my f7 pawn. So not only would I, like I said, I could have won the queen, but I would have lost the bishop as well. Absolutely ridiculous. So he didn't see that either, so he played knight to e4. And here I did take the knight. He played queen takes, and now e2. If I had my eyes open, I could have seen that after, for example, bishop c4, this pawn is not going anywhere either. But of course this is winning. I mean, I have a rook and a bishop against a bishop and a queen. Well, my queen too. Bishop c2. I mean, anybody can see that white is just, threatening checkmate over here. I mean, it's completely obvious. But instead of that, I play queen d2. And my idea was to make a queen. So, immediately, queen h7 checkmate. Absolutely ridiculous. But stuff like that happen, and they do. It really happens a lot in blitz. And so, how do you move away? I mean, how do you ignore? Do you ignore something like this, or do you just walk away from it, or do you learn something from it? I don't think there is anything to learn from this game for me, because obviously I was completely winning, and I missed the most obvious threat. I could have easily stopped queen h7 check with something like, instead of the stupid queen d2, I could have played f5. And now what? And if it takes with the pawn, I can play rook f6. And if it checks, it doesn't change anything. I can just go to h7. If he plays g4, I have a check. And wherever he goes, I'm going to check with the pawn when it promotes. So you can't do that. So I think rook f6 is the easiest. And if check over here, it's the same thing. It doesn't change anything. I'll just go up here. And also notice that after queen to e8, there is no check on g6. And also this pawn is blocking his own bishop, so black is just completely winning this game. But, stuff like that happens, so I'll play queen e2 and checkmate. I'm analyzing my losses because I'm trying to make some sense out of them. They are so obvious, so ridiculous. I mean, it's beyond words. I mean, I can't even explain why I keep making them. In this game I was black. It was a 3-minute blitz game with 1 second on each move. So let's just go straight to the game here. d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop e4. This is the Nimzo Indian defense. Knight f3, castles, bishop g5, c5. I think d5 is the most obvious. Sorry, the most common. c5, e4. I played bishop takes c3. I think d6 is the move here. Let's take a look at that. For example, if d6, then d takes c5, bishop takes c5. What would happen if black would play e5? Well, e5, d takes e5, d takes e5, and just queen d1. So that leads to nowhere. So d6 is the move, but I didn't play that, so I played bishop takes c3, pawn takes, and queen a5. So the point is that if he takes my knight on f6, I can take the pawn on c3 with check, and then whatever happens, I would take back the piece. So he played queen b3, just protecting, but that drops the pawn on e4. Knight takes e4, bishop d3. I play knight takes g5, knight takes g5, h6, knight f3, c takes d4. He's forced to take with the knight, obviously, because the pawn on c3 is still pinned. And after knight takes c4, knight c6, he took my knight with knight c6. D takes e6, castles, and here I played e5 with a point to get my bishop out. He played h3. I don't really see the point with that move. I played rook b8 because, I mean, I couldn't develop my bishop otherwise. Queen c2, f5, f3, bishop e6, a4, and here comes the blunder that, I mean, I can't even understand why. I mean, maybe it's like you just forget about the most obvious. I mean, we saw in the previous game how I didn't see queen h7 check, mate, and I also didn't see bishop takes g6, winning the queen, and I also didn't see knight takes or queen takes b1, winning the bishop. But of course, winning the bishop was the option once I'd missed bishop takes g6 in the first place. But here, after bishop takes e4, it's just ridiculous. The idea is fine. I mean, the idea is completely okay. I mean, let's say after bishop takes e4 and that would actually work, and after bishop c4 in reality it's just check, and I'm just losing my bishop for nothing. But the idea was that if my king had been on h8 or just anywhere else, I would play queen c5 check and then win back the bishop on c4. But it doesn't work here, of course, because after bishop takes e4 it's check, and I have to move my king, and after king h8 I just resign because, I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm going to lose a piece for nothing. So what can I say? I mean, I don't have any real answers why I make mistakes like that. I mean, the previous game was one thing, but this is also ridiculous. I think it's good to take a look at your losses sometime and try to figure out why you keep blundering, why you make the most obvious mistakes. But everybody makes them, so I'm not an exception, and this game is no exception. You can find thousands of games like this, even in your own games, I'm sure. So I just want to share those two stupid losses out of thousands of others, of course.